Bedard took the shot, he scores! Oh, what a rifle. His point streak continues to 8 games for Connor Bedard. 16 points. What a rifle that was.
Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini will probably always be intertwined and compared against one another for their entire careers. The 2023 and 2024 first overall picks are both starting to scrape their superstar upside in the 2025-26 season. They both sit in the top 5 of the NHL points leaderboard, and they're both key factors in their respective teams' early season overperformance, with both Chicago and San Jose holding records over .500 some 16 games into the season, a huge jump from past years. And while there will always be people pitting them against each other, including Hockey Canada's key decision makers as the two young phenoms push their way into the fight for one of Canada's roster spots in Milan come February, this video isn't meant to give a measure on who's better right now. Instead, it's an attempt to take a look at the underlying numbers and gauge what we can expect from the pair the rest of the season, and how sustainable both their play is, as well as their team success will be moving forward. We'll start with Bedard. On the ice, he's currently racked up 18 points on his ongoing 8-game point streak, and is really wielding his wicked release combined with his elite playmaking abilities to be an all-around offensive wizard. Bedard really went through a true sophomore slump in 2024-25, with his points and goals per game actually regressing from his Calder-winning rookie year. It was speculated that he was dealing with some injury that really impacted his shot and skating, and using NHL Edge data, we can take a look at some shot and skating speed numbers to analyze that fact. As you can see in these screenshots, Bedard's skating fell off a cliff last year, being below the 50th percentile in max speed while not recording a single 22+ mile/hour speed burst all season. It's important to note that he wasn't ever known to be a true burner, but these numbers reflected the eye test where he just didn't have the same burst as you'd expect from him, especially as a young player. While he could still push the 18 to 20 mile/hour range, it's clear his top speed is really limited. This year, he's already registered 5 22+ mile/hour speed bursts, and his max skating speed is up to the 76th percentile, being much closer to what he showed in his rookie season. He's also in the 99th percentile of 18 to 20 mile/hour bursts, showing how often he's darting around the ice. For his shot, the same trend follows, as he's already registered 4 harder shots this year than he did the entirety of last season, though he hasn't quite reached the heights of his rookie year yet. His average shot speed is way up from both of his previous seasons, however. So, it's pretty clear Bedard is way more comfortable on the ice than last season, and he's been able to find some chemistry with Andrei Burakovsky to become a true scoring threat in the league. On the other hand, no sophomore slump is hitting Macklin Celebrini. His shot power improved over the offseason, going from the 80 to 90th percentile range to the mid-high 90s, while the skating numbers have mostly remained the same, if he hasn't quite had to match last year's max speed yet. Celebrini hasn't had a point streak quite like Bedard yet, but has been a pretty consistent producer in San Jose, playing mostly with familiar line mates Tyler Toffoli and Will Smith. He really is the full package, being able to shoot from anywhere, be an involved forechecker, is a high-level playmaker, and while the defensive game hasn't quite shown up yet possession-wise, he is consciously involved in that side of the puck and has shown promise in microstats like puck battle wins, so it's not really a lack of effort or potential that's holding him back defensively. There's not quite as much to analyze with Macklin, since he's pretty much just on an upward trajectory with everything, progressing exactly as you want your young superstar to. It's been too much fun talking about the elite traits and improvements these guys have made, so it's time to bring everyone back down to earth with showcasing why I think it's more likely both players end up in the 80 to 90 point range of the season, rather than the 120 point paces they're currently trending towards. The main problem comes down to an unsustainably high on-ice shooting percentage for both players. Currently, in all situations, Bedard is sitting at an 18.54% on-ice shooting percentage, while Celebrini sits at 17.34%. For reference, last year, out of 425 players that played 1,000 or more minutes in the NHL, only 3 players had an on-ice shooting percentage higher than 15%, with Washington's Alexi Protas leading all skaters at a 15.47% rate. And while there's correlation between individual scoring ability, the scoring ability of teammates, and on-ice shooting percentage, numbers in the high teens just don't hold over a whole year. On top of that, while their points have improved, these two still haven't become possession dominant at 5-on-5 yet, with both sitting at the 40 to 45% range of expected goals, despite scoring 65% of the actual goals when on the ice. These players are skilled enough and good enough to outscore what the expected goals suggest, but they aren't so good that they completely change the way we expect stars to score. For example, Connor McDavid's on-ice shooting percentage has never gone above 15% in a whole season, and usually hovers closer to 13%. While that's still way higher than league average, it's not obscenely high like these two have been to start the year. And it has to be said that it's okay that these guys won't be up there with McKinnon and McDavid for the whole year. They're still teenagers on track to become the best in the league, and that doesn't happen overnight. There will continue to be ups and downs in their young careers, hot streaks and dry spells, injuries, whatever. They'll improve defensively as the teams around them fill out and become competitive, and they're well on track to become the best players in the league. I would hate to see disappointment and slander of these young players later in the year when 1/6 of the shots that are taken when they're on the ice go in the net, and the flaws in their games become more and more obvious. It should be just time to enjoy these players and not have to put them in conversations with the best of the best in the primes of their careers. So, as shooting benders slow down and the teams around them fall back down to earth, don't be surprised if they aren't pushing for 110 points all year. It's a good thing that they are showing an ability to rack up these numbers, and as the years go on, they'll have much more sustainable battles for Art Ross trophies.